The African Human Rights Commission has found that there is inadequate sanitation, deteriorating buildings and overcrowding in dozens of schools in the Northwest. The Commission recently evaluated the state of 60 institutions in the province. Let's find out what the Commission found and what its recommendations are as well. We're joined by its Senior Legal Officer, Zama Luthuli. Zama, thanks very much for coming on. It's incredibly disturbing just reading through some of the background on the story. The probe by the Human Rights Commission started, I believe, with 6 schools and was then expanded. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Good morning, and good morning to the viewers. Indeed, the Commission initiated this investigation by investigating 6 schools. This is subsequent to receiving complaints from different community members. And this expanded during the first leg of our hearing, which was held on the 2nd to the 4th of March 2021. We then established that we have at least more than 40 schools which are affected by poor infrastructure in the Northwest.
Tell us more about exactly, how your scope was expanded to the extent that almost 10 times the number of schools that you initially were investigated had to be part of these hearings. What did you find on the ground in the Northwest?
During the Human Rights Commission site inspections of the schools, we did engage with the principals, and we did request them that they also share their views of other schools within their districts which they know of. And we also conducted a monitoring of schools, and then we established that these challenges do not only affect just 6 or 7 schools, but there is a wide range of these schools. And during the presentations made by the teachers' unions, which is NAPTOSA and SATU, and also by NASGB, which is a government body organization, we were presented by a number of schools and a list of many schools in the province which have these challenges. And during the first leg of the hearing, we were provided with photographs and videos of the conditions of these schools, which are very dire, and it was portrayed to us as well that the situation is not only limited to asbestos and debilitated buildings, but also the shortage of classrooms and lack of water and sanitation are also the biggest challenges in these schools.
Yeah. I mean, Zama, we're playing some of the images coming from those schools in the Northwest, and it's difficult to think that any learning can take place in a classroom that looks like this, like the image that our viewers are seeing on their screens now. Broken windows, come rain or shine, broken chairs, no desks, papers piled up on the side of a room. Surely this has impacted the outcomes of education in that province.
Indeed, and during our interview of school principals and also staff at the schools, we were informed of how they are so demoralized at working in such conditions. And we were also informed about other schools as well, where the performance of learners have significantly dropped due to these challenges. So it's something that we, as the Human Rights Commission, determined that it involves several human rights violations, not just a right to children and also education, but also environmental rights as well, because these issues involve asbestos, and asbestos also has been reported to have a health hazard on learners and also on educators. So this is a very difficult challenge, and during our interview as well, we were informed by several principals and also educators how they have been challenged. Some have gone as far as falling into depression. Some, they even reach out to social media and wrote of these conditions that they have to face every single day during their performance of employment.
Yeah. We also saw a little boy relieving himself on the side of a building there. We saw water dripping onto the floor from the roof of one of the classes there. And what's more disturbing, Zama, is that, these are systemic problems that certainly look like they have faced the Northwest for many years. I mean, I'm stopping short of saying decades, but essentially these problems didn't arise upon the arrival of the Human Rights Commission there.
Certainly, I mean, we are told that some of these schools are 100 years old, some are 50 years old. Some we are told by some of the school principals, they told us that they attended these schools during their when they were still young, when they're still minors, and these challenges were still there.
Sure.
So they go way back. And we also, during our inspection, we saw learners. We saw how the water and sanitation have affected the learners. And we saw buildings on the verge of collapsing during our inspection. So these conditions and these challenges are very dire and are very serious. And they require an urgent intervention by the Department of Education and other key role players.
Yeah, certainly. What's even more disturbing is that, this is according to the information that I have here in front of me, despite the Commission's numerous letters to the Education Department regarding these massive infrastructure challenges in Northwest schools, the Commission also sent a request that the Department provides a plan to resolve these infrastructure challenges, and that's really just putting it mildly as infrastructure challenges. But at the time, when the Commission first reached out to the Department, it failed to cooperate with the Human Rights Commission's investigations.
Indeed, and it's unfortunate that the investigation, when it started in 2018, despite several letters and correspondence to the department, this investigation, they proved futile, and there hasn't been much of cooperation from the department, and this is something that was raised openly during the hearing. Also regarding the frustration by the Commission itself in failing to receive any correspondence from the department, which as a result the Commission resolved to holding this hearing in furthering of its investigation.
Zama, so the investigation started in 2018. It's now 4 years later. Has anything improved in those 4 years?
Certainly not. During our inspection at the schools, we've discovered that the challenges, they remain. And when we also engage with the complainants, because those who complain to the Commission also have expressed their frustration, they have informed the Commission that the Commission, you are not doing anything. It's been 4 years and nothing has happened. We relied on you as a Chapter 9 institution to do something, and which is something also from our side, we take it as a serious concern, because we have a constitutional obligation and duty to investigate on these matters and ensure that redress is secured. Because also we have a South African Human Rights Commission Act, which provides our functions and powers to investigate, and it says specifically that the organs of state must cooperate with the Commission's investigation. So it's been frustrating.
Yeah, Zama, so what happens now? I mean, the hearings have happened, the report has been issued, the Human Rights Commission has made its own recommendations. As you say, nothing has happened in the last 4 years since the investigation began. What happens now? Because the pupils who were in school at the time of the investigation, let's say they were in grade 8, they are now hopefully approaching their matric year without anything having changed in their learning environment.
Yeah, well, the South African Human Rights Commission has not yet issued a report. We held our first leg of the hearing and the second leg on the 24th of March. So we are now at the stages of developing the report, because the report we are seeking to have findings and also recommendations to the department.
Yeah.
At this stage, we are waiting for some information from the Department of Education, which they undertook to provide to the Commission, because during the second leg of the hearing, there were some of the questions which the department could not respond to, and there was an undertaking to respond to us. So we will immediately formulate a report with findings and recommendations.
Let me ask you this, Zama. If the investigation by the Human Rights Commission started in 2018, why did these hearings only take place this year?
Well, we have also tried to meet with the department. We have had a meeting or the meetings with the Department of Education, and there were undertakings to attend to these challenges and secure redress. There wasn't a proper plan which indicated how the department is resolving these issues. However, there were other undertakings that were made. So we have been monitoring these undertakings, and to date we have not seen any changes. Hence, there was an urgent need to hold this hearing.
Not urgent enough, though, if it's 4 years later. Is this a failing on the part of the Human Rights Commission?
I wouldn't say it's a failing on the part of the Commission. It's because we need to understand also that the Department of Education has also other implementing agents, other key stakeholders that it is working with. So our investigation was not only limited to the Department of Education, but also other key stakeholders such as the Department of Public Works and the Department of Labor. We have been in contact with the teachers' unions. We have been gathering necessary information of all these challenges. So I wouldn't say it's the fail on the South African Human Rights Commission, because something was being done, but it was done single-handedly because there was no cooperation from the other stakeholders as well.
Yeah.
So I believe
So Zama, if the Human Rights Commission finds itself in a position like this, where in this case the Department of Education in the Northwest is not cooperating with the work being done by the Human Rights Commission, what steps can then be taken? Because as you outlined to us at the start of our interview, as a Chapter 9 institution, government departments are mandated to work with the Human Rights Commission.
Yes. Our report will give recommendations, and there will be a strict monitoring of compliance with those recommendations. And should there be any breaches or any defaults in following those recommendations, then further steps will be taken in terms of the South African Human Rights Act, which includes, among other things, taking the matter to for prosecution, or because the Act specifically states that anyone who violates or who breaches or who is not complying with the investigation of the Commission will be guilty of an offence. So further steps will be taken, and it will be taken failure to comply with the recommendations.
Yeah, and I mean, as these steps continue, it's the school pupils, it's the teachers, it's the people of the Northwest Province that wait for justice insofar as the education sector is concerned. Zama Luthuli, let me thank you for your time this morning.